You are already enough. And the strange thing is that the very effort to become enough is the one thing that keeps convincing you that you are not. From the moment you learn to speak, to compare, to measure, to say this is better than that, you were quietly trained into a game. It is a game where the prize is wholeness, and the rule is that you never quite arrive. You are told that one day, after sufficient improvement, healing, discipline, or enlightenment, you will finally be acceptable to yourself. And yet, if you look closely, the one who is chasing this future version of you is already here, already breathing, already aware. The irony is exquisite. It is like a wave in the ocean trying to improve itself by becoming more watery. You see, most of our suffering does not come from pain itself, but from the interpretation of pain as evidence that something is wrong with us. We feel anxiety and conclude we are broken. We feel sadness and decide we need fixing. We feel fear and assume we are failing at life. But what if these feelings are not errors at all? What if they are simply movements of life, the same way clouds move across the sky, or seasons change across the earth? The sky does not panic when a storm appears. It does not rush to a self-help seminar on how to be clearer. It allows the storm, and in allowing it, remains what it has always been. The modern mind has become obsessed with improvement. Improve your habits, your body, your productivity, your mindset, your personality, your spirituality. Even peace has become a project. We try to meditate ourselves into worthiness. We try to discipline ourselves into self-love. And underneath all of this effort is a quiet assumption that who we are right now is not acceptable. This assumption is rarely questioned. It hides behind noble words like growth, healing, and becoming your best self. But look carefully, and you will notice a subtle violence in it, a refusal to allow yourself to be what you are until you meet some imagined standard. Now, this does not mean that life does not change or that learning and skill are illusions. Trees grow taller, children learn to walk, musicians practice their instruments. But a tree does not grow because it believes it is inadequate as a seed. A child does not learn to walk because it despises crawling. Growth happens naturally, when there is no internal war against what is. The problem begins when growth becomes self-rejection in disguise, when improvement is fueled by the belief that you are fundamentally flawed. Consider how strange it is that you trust your heart to beat without supervision, your lungs to breathe without instruction, your wounds to heal without your constant interference. Yet when it comes to your emotions and your sense of self, you assume you must take control. You say, I shouldn't feel this way, or I need to get rid of this part of me. And in doing so, you split yourself into two, the judge and the judged, the fixer and the broken thing. This inner division is exhausting. It is like trying to lift yourself by pulling on your own shoes. The self you are trying to fix is not an object. It is a process. It is happening right now. The very awareness that says I am not enough is itself evidence of a deeper intelligence at work. After all, a rock does not worry about its purpose. A tree does not question its worth. Only a being deeply alive and conscious can experience this tension. And yet we use this gift of awareness to turn against ourselves, to create an imaginary ideal and then punish ourselves for not matching it. You were never meant to be a finished product. Life is not a factory producing perfect objects. It is a dance, a play of forms constantly changing. To demand that you be fixed is to misunderstand what you are. You are not a problem to be solved. You are an event, an unfolding, like music. And music is not trying to get somewhere. It is not improved by rushing to the final note. The point of the song is the playing of it. When you say, I will be enough when I am more confident, more successful, more enlightened, you place your life perpetually in the future. You postpone your own acceptance. But the future never arrives as a place where you can stand. It arrives only as another present moment. And if you have not learned to be enough now, you will not suddenly learn it then. The habit of self-rejection will simply attach itself to new conditions. Look at how this plays out in everyday life. You achieve something you once thought would complete you, and for a brief moment there is relief, even joy, and then the mind moves the goalpost. Now there is another improvement to make, another flaw to correct. This is not because you failed to choose the right goal. It is because no goal can solve a problem that does not actually exist. The sense of not being enough is not cured by success because it was never caused by failure. The truth is more unsettling and more freeing. At the same time, the feeling of incompleteness is part of being human. It is not a sign that you are doing life wrong, it is a sign that you are alive. To try to eliminate it is like trying to flatten the ocean to avoid waves. You may calm one surface disturbance, but the depth will still move, and it should. Life is movement. This is why the instruction to fix yourself is so confusing. Who exactly is doing the fixing? If you look closely, you will notice that the fixer is made of the same thoughts, fears, and emotions as the one being fixed. It is the same mind chasing its own tail. And in this chase, you miss the simple fact of being. You miss the quiet miracle of awareness itself, the feeling of being here, breathing, sensing, listening. To say you are already enough does not mean you must like everything about yourself. It does not mean you approve of every habit or avoid responsibility for your actions. It means something far more radical, that your worth is not conditional on improvement, that your existence does not need justification, that even in your confusion, your contradictions, your unfinishedness, you belong to this universe as much as the stars and the stones. Notice how easily you extend compassion to others. You can see a friend struggling and say, of course you feel this way, given what you've been through. You can understand their flaws, their fears, their mistakes. But when it comes to yourself, that understanding vanishes. You become harsh, impatient, demanding. Why? Because you are too close. You mistake your thoughts about yourself for the truth about yourself. You forget that these thoughts are just sounds in the head, habits of language learned over time. If you pause and listen, you may notice that the voice saying, "I need to fix myself," is not particularly wise. It repeats old phrases, borrowed judgments, half-remembered criticisms. It speaks in absolutes. It is not the voice of life itself. Life does not speak in insults. Life does not say, "You are not enough." Life simply is. And you are an expression of that isness. There is a great relief in giving. G up the project of self-improvement as a moral obligation. When you stop trying to fix yourself, you do not become stagnant. On the contrary, you become more fluid. Change happens more easily when it is not forced. When you accept your anger, it often softens. When you allow your fear, it loses its grip. When you stop fighting your sadness, it moves through you like weather, leaving clarity behind. This is because resistance gives solidity to experience. What you fight, you make real and heavy. What you allow, you let move. The idea that you are broken is itself a form of resistance to life as it is showing up. And when that resistance drops, even briefly, there is a sense of space, of humor, of lightness. You realize you have been clenching a fist that did not need to be clenched. Perhaps the most difficult thing to accept is that there is nothing you need to add to yourself to be worthy of love, including your own. This feels dangerous because we have been taught that self-acceptance leads to laziness or arrogance. But true acceptance is not complacency. It is honesty. It is seeing clearly what is happening without the extra drama of condemnation. From that clarity, intelligent action naturally arises. You might notice that when you are not busy fixing yourself, you become more curious. You listen more. You respond rather than react. You are not so afraid of making mistakes because mistakes no longer threaten your identity. They become information, part of the dance. You are no longer trying to defend an image of being good enough, so you are free to be real. In the end, the search for self-improvement is really a search for permission to rest. You want to arrive at a place where you can finally stop striving and feel at home. But that home is not at the end of the journey. It is the ground you have been standing on all along. The rest you seek is available the moment you stop arguing with your own existence. And in this simple being, this allowance of what is, there is a subtle revolution. For decades, perhaps a lifetime, you have been negotiating with yourself bargaining for approval that was never withheld except by your own judgments. The mind has a remarkable ability to create obstacles out of thin air, to imagine a deficit where none exists. And yet, in the quiet recognition that there is nothing to fix, that you are already a complete expression of existence, the mind finds itself strangely disarmed. The compulsion to correct, to control, to improve at every moment begins to soften. You notice the beauty in imperfection, not as a project to admire, but as the reality you inhabit, the same reality that has been unfolding perfectly, whether you have noticed it or not. Think about the way a river flows. It does not carve its path because it is inadequate as a puddle or afraid of stagnation. It flows because that is its nature. Obstacles do not make it feel broken, they merely redirect its movement. When you adopt this view toward you, ourself, life becomes less about fixing and more about flowing. Each thought, emotion, or sensation is not a problem to solve, but a current to navigate, sometimes calmly, sometimes with exuberance, always with the understanding that the essence beneath these appearances does not require repair. The river does not compare its flow to that of another river. It simply participates in its own existence, fully and without apology. And so, you begin to recognize that your own existence can be approached in the same way, fluid, present, alive. The struggle to become enough often stems from a misunderstanding of time. We assume that self-acceptance is a reward to be earned in the future, after years of effort, after achieving certain milestones, after reaching some ideal state. And while it is true that we evolve, the evolution does not precede acceptance. It emerges from it. When you allow yourself to be enough right now, the energy that was previously bound up in self-criticism is liberated, and life begins to move with greater ease. You begin to act not from fear of inadequacy, but from curiosity, from the joy of exploring the capacities you already possess. The notion of insufficiency dissolves, not because you have become better, but because you have finally stopped insisting on being other than what you are. This realization can be deeply unsettling at first because it goes against everything society has taught us. We have been educated to view ourselves as projects, as work in progress entities that require constant management. Yet, if you observe the natural world, you notice that nothing except the human mind engages in this relentless self-editing. Trees do not apologize for their crooked branches. Mountains do not wish to be taller. Even animals live their lives with immediacy, with no internal commentary about being enough. And in stepping out of the relentless narrative of I am not enough, you return to the natural state of life, an ongoing, imperfect, and wholly complete manifestation of existence. When you stop trying to fix yourself, something remarkable happens in your relationships as well. You begin to see others not as objects to be molded or corrected, but as fellow expressions of life, each with their own rhythm, each with their own currents. Your interactions are no longer tainted by the desperate desire to be validated, to be seen as better, to prove your worth. Instead, you meet people from a place of openness, of honesty, of shared participation in the unfolding of existence. You recognize that, just as you are enough, so too are they. And in that recognition, the walls of judgment that have long separated you from others begin to dissolve. Communication, connection, and empathy arise naturally, effortlessly, because they are not being forced into the mold of perfection. You may ask, but if I stop trying to fix myself, will I not stagnate? The answer lies in the subtlety of true understanding. Growth and transformation are not halted by acceptance, they are enabled by it. A plant does not grow faster because it despises being a seed. Growth emerges from a place of allowing what is to exist fully. Similarly, when you allow yourself to be enough, your actions, choices, and behaviors become more aligned with life itself. Change occurs, but it occurs from a place of presence rather than compulsion. And this is the paradox. By ceasing to fix yourself, you open the door to genuine transformation that is neither forced nor artificial, but organic and responsive. Consider also the role of suffering in all of this. Pain, fear, doubt, and confusion are not indicators that you are insufficient. They are simply part of the experience of being alive. When you stop resisting them, stop viewing them as evidence of inadequacy, they lose much of their oppressive weight. You no longer suffer from being human. You participate in being human. Life's challenges are no longer enemies to overcome, but expressions of the same energy that animates your joy, your curiosity, your laughter. In accepting the totality of experience without the filter of self-judgment, you begin to inhabit life more fully, more richly, more gracefully. You may notice moments when the old habit of self-fixation creeps back in. That voice that whispers you are not enough has been with you for so long that it can sound familiar, even comfortable. And here too there is a profound teaching. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness in which these thoughts arise. You do not need to silence them, nor do you need to obey them. Simply witnessing them, allowing them their passage is enough. They come and go like seasons, like clouds, like waves. And in the midst of this constant motion, the core of your being remains untouched, whole, and complete. This witnessing is not a practice aimed at fixing, it is the recognition of what was always true beneath the surface chatter of the mind. It is also worth observing how humor enters into this realization. There is an absurdity in the human effort to become enough, a kind of cosmic comedy. Imagine spending decades running in a circle thinking you are pursuing a destination, only to discover that you were already there all along. And yet, this is precisely what we do. Once you glimpse this, there is room for laughter, for lightness, for a playful engagement with life that does not hinge on perfection or accomplishment. Humor in this sense is not trivial, it is a form of liberation. It releases you from the tyranny of relentless self-improvement and allows you to inhabit each moment with grace. Your body too benefits from this perspective. Often, the desire to fix yourself manifests in physical tension, in strict regimens, in harsh judgments of appearance, posture, or ability. But when you allow yourself to be enough, the body relaxes, breath deepens, movement becomes less mechanical, less anxious, less corrective. In giving up the struggle, you give yourself the gift of natural alignment, of flow, of ease. The body is no longer a tool to perfect the self, it becomes a partner in the experience of simply being. And in this partnership, life itself becomes more pleasurable, more immediate, more resonant. This principle extends to creativity as well. The desire to be enough often blocks artistic expression, intellectual inquiry, or playful experimentation. You fear failure, you fear judgment, you fear that your work will reveal you as lacking. Yet the moment you accept yourself as already enough, the impulse to create flows freely. Mistakes are no longer fatal, they are part of the process. Expression itself becomes the reward, rather than the hope of validation. The artist, the thinker, the dreamer, the lover, all can flourish when they recognize that their worth does not depend on achievement, but is inherent in their being. You are enough in every season of your life. You are enough in your confusion, in your mistakes, in your joys, in your sorrows. You are enough in your ambitions and in your stillness. You are enough in what you know and in what you have yet to learn. The mind may continue to invent reasons why this is not so, but awareness knows the truth intuitively without argument. Awareness does not seek, it already has. It does not lack, it is complete. And when you align with this, even briefly, there is a profound sense of relief, a quiet celebration of life as it is. It is astonishing, really, how simple this principle is, how difficult it can feel to embody. We have woven a lifetime of beliefs about inadequacy into the fabric of our minds, and undoing them requires patience, gentleness, and repeated remembrance. Each time you notice the impulse to fix yourself, each time you catch the judgment, you have an opportunity to return to the recognition that you are already enough. Each observation, each pause, each inhalation is a chance to step out of the relentless treadmill and rest in the truth of your being. And as this recognition deepens, you may find that the world itself shifts. Things that once seemed urgent or threatening lose their sharpness. Relationships deepen. Work becomes more meaningful. Joy becomes more accessible. The external world is not magically perfect, but your perception of it transforms because it is filtered through a mind that no longer believes itself inadequate. You begin to move with life rather than against it, to participate fully rather than striving constantly. to appreciate the richness of existence without needing it to be different from what it is. This understanding, radical though it may feel, is not something to attain or prove. It is always available, right now, beneath the chatter, beneath the striving, beneath the illusion that you need to be different. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to manufacture it. You simply need to allow yourself to rest in it. And in doing so, you discover the extraordinary paradox in giving up the struggle to be enough. You discover that you were enough all along. The very being that has been chasing wholeness in the future is already whole, already alive, already complete. The universe has been expressing itself through you in countless ways, through every breath, every thought, every heartbeat, every sensation, every failure, every triumph. And now, in the quiet recognition of your inherent completeness, you participate more fully in this expression. You are no longer a fragmented seeker trying to mend a self that never needed mending. You are a living, breathing manifestation of existence, unfolding moment by moment with all the richness, all the contradictions, all the beauty that entails. And in this, there is nothing more to do, nothing more to achieve, and nothing more to prove. You are already enough. And when you begin to live from this recognition, you notice the subtleties of existence with a new clarity. The morning light does not need to be more golden to be beautiful. The wind does not need to be gentler to be felt. Each encounter, each sensation, each fleeting thought gains texture and color simply because you are not filtering life through the lens of, I am not enough. You can listen to music, feel the warmth of the sun, watch a child laugh, or sit quietly in a park without the constant internal commentary that insists on self-correction. Life, in its unaltered state, becomes a teacher of presence, and you, in surrendering the obsession with fixing yourself, become a receptive student. It is remarkable how often we mistake action for value. We measure ourselves by what we do, what we produce, what we achieve. Yet these are temporary expressions of life, not proof of intrinsic worth. A tree produces fruit, yes, but it is not fruitless when bare. The seasons come and go, and the tree simply is. Similarly, your value does not rise and fall with your accomplishments. You are inherently enough, whether you are in bloom or in winter. To internalize this truth is to release the endless tension that has driven so much of your striving and suffering. Even your failures, missteps, and regrets become different in light of this awareness. They are no longer evidence of a flawed self, but simply experiences, currents in the ongoing river of life. You begin to see that mistakes do not diminish your worth, they enrich it. Each misstep teaches, each moment of confusion illuminates, each failure adds depth to your being. The mind that once used mistakes to reinforce inadequacy now sees them as invitations to awareness. And in seeing this, you become lighter, freer, more willing to take risks, more willing to engage fully without the heavy hand of self-reproach. The desire to fix oneself often hides a subtle fear, the fear that if you stop, you will be left with nothing. Yet in truth, what remains when the fixing stops is exactly what you were searching for, yourself. Not a perfected self, not a polished version, but the raw, living, breathing, thinking, feeling presence that has always been here. And what a remarkable discovery this is, that all the effort, all the striving, all the self-judgment was chasing something that was never absent. Like searching for sunlight in the open sky, you find that the light was always surrounding you. There is also profound intimacy in this realization. When you are no longer struggling against yourself, you inhabit your body and your mind with a kind of tenderness that is rare. You allow your emotions to move through you without interference. You allow your thoughts to pass without attachment. You allow your desires to arise and dissolve without panic. This intimacy is not indulgence. It is the natural consequence of ceasing the war within. You are no longer divided into the fixer and the flawed. You are whole, simply in motion, simply present. And in this presence, creativity, love, and joy expand naturally. You do not force expression. You do not manipulate outcomes. You simply allow life to flow through you. The writer writes because words emerge. The artist paints because colors call. The lover loves because the heart opens. There is a rhythm, a natural cadence, a spontaneous unfolding. In other words, when you stop trying to fix yourself, life begins to fix itself in ways that were previously impossible because your energy was spent resisting what is. It is important to note that this does not negate effort or responsibility. To live fully does not mean abandoning discernment, moral action, or intentionality. Rather, it means performing these acts from a place of wholeness rather than from a sense of inadequacy. You make choices not because you are trying to prove something or correct something, but because they arise organically from a mind that is aligned with life. Effort becomes elegant rather than desperate, and action becomes a dance rather than a battle. Consider the metaphor of the musician again. The musician does not correct every minor imperfection mid-performance. If they did, the music would stop. Instead, they allow the notes to flow, embracing the unplanned sounds, the minor deviations, the spontaneous flourishes. And in this allowance, the music is richer, deeper, more alive. You too are the musician of your life. To stop trying to fix yourself is not to cease playing, it is to play fully, to inhabit each note with presence, to allow life to resonate through you without the constant interruption of self-judgment. The subtle beauty of this perspective is that it does not need to be defended, explained, or justified. The mind may resist, may argue, may cling to old narratives, but at the level of direct experience, there is a release, a lightness, a sense of spaciousness that cannot be denied. You can notice this in simple ways, in the way your breathing eases, in the way your gaze softens, in the way your laughter emerges without reason. These are not signs that you have arrived. They are reminders that you have always been her. Complete, and enough. It also shifts your relationship to time. The future no longer holds the promise of worthiness, and the past no longer burdens you with guilt or shame. You inhabit the present with the recognition that this moment, this exact moment, is sufficient. You do not need to manufacture more. You do not need to demand from yourself some impossible standard. You can rest, and from that rest, life unfolds with more clarity, more energy, more aliveness. The moments are no longer consumed by self-correction, but are available for experience, for engagement, for appreciation. And as this awareness deepens, it becomes contagious. Those around you sense it. Relationships transform. Work, play, and even solitude take on new textures. You are no longer reacting to life from the fear of inadequacy. You are responding from the fullness of presence. You begin to notice that what was once urgent or threatening in life loses its grip, that what seemed critical is often trivial, that what seemed missing is already present. And in noticing this, the mind, which once drove you relentlessly forward, begins to relax. You find that being enough is not a destination, it is a continual living awareness. You may still encounter voices, inside and outside, that whisper doubt. That is the nature of thought. But the difference now is that you no longer need to obey. You watch, you observe, you allow, and the undercurrent of completeness carries you beyond the need for approval or erection. Every inhale reminds you that you are alive. Every exhale reminds you that life is happening within you. Nothing more is required. Nothing more can add to what is already full. And the strange, liberating truth is that freedom, joy, and peace are not found by becoming other than what you are. They are discovered in the surrender to what you have always been. You may notice, finally, that the effort to be enough was never about improvement at all. It was about hiding from the fear of presence, the fear of simply existing as you are. And in acknowledging this, in allowing the fear to be without trying to remove it, the fear itself transforms. It becomes a companion rather than a tyrant. It teaches rather than oppresses. It reminds you that life is alive, unpredictable, and radiant, and that you, in your entirety, are already a part of that flow. The mind may still resist this understanding, but even resistance can be seen as part of the whole. The very thought, "I am not enough," is arising in the same space that knows you already are. It is a wave on the ocean of awareness, and the ocean does not need to change to accommodate the wave. You can witness the thought, you can allow it, and still rest in the deep underlying completeness that is your nature. Every experience, even doubt, is embraced in this vastness. Every movement, every emotion, every sensation participates in the ongoing dance of being, a dance that has no beginning and no end, no cause to improve and no need to fix. And as you inhabit this understanding more fully, you begin to notice how often the mind confuses effort with value, how it assumes that doing more, fixing more, controlling more is the measure of your worth. The irony is that the very act of trying to perfect yourself often obscures the perfection that is already present. You tighten, you strive, you argue with existence itself, all in the name of becoming, when in reality the becoming was never necessary. The river flows without trying to flow. The tree grows without trying to grow. The wind moves without needing permission. And yet, in all of this, life is fully expressed. When you cease the compulsion to fix yourself, you step into alignment with this natural rhythm. You discover that the perfection you sought externally has always been internal, waiting for recognition rather than construction. Notice how the small, ordinary moments of life transform when you stop striving to be other than what you are. A cup of tea, the sound of footsteps on the street, the laughter of a friend, all of these become more vivid, more immediate, more alive. Life begins to feel less like a checklist and more like a symphony, each note contributing to a harmony that was always present but often unnoticed. You stop measuring yourself against impossible ideals and start noticing the poetry in your own existence. In this, there is a quiet joy that is both subtle and profound. A joy that arises not from achievement or approval, but from the simple fact of being. Even challenges and discomforts take on a different quality. Pain is no longer a signal that something is wrong with you, but a teacher, a messenger, a movement of life through your body and consciousness. Fear and doubt are not enemies, but indicators of engagement with the unknown, proof that you are alive and participating in existence rather than withdrawing from it. When you stop fixing yourself, suffering loses much of its sharpness, because suffering thrives on the belief that you are inadequate or flawed. Remove that belief, and what remains is experience, raw, full, and complete in its own right. Relationships, too, change in this new context. When you stop trying to fix yourself, you stop unconsciously trying to fix others. You stop approaching people from a place of fear, defensiveness, or the need for validation. Instead, you meet them from presence, from openness, from acceptance of what is. Conversations deepen. Connections become more authentic, and the shared dance of human interaction becomes less about performance and more about participation. You recognize that the other is not a mirror to measure your adequacy, but a fellow traveler, equally complete, equally unfolding, equally enough. Even in your creative endeavors, this awareness is transformative. The desire to correct every flaw, to perfect every line, to polish every thought falls away. Creativity becomes a spontaneous expression rather than a task to achieve. Words flow, brushstrokes move, ideas emerge, not because you are trying to prove something, but because you are already enough to express them. Mistakes are no longer disasters, but integral elements of the whole. In allowing yourself to be enough, you allow your work, your expression, and your life to resonate with the fullness of existence itself. The body, too, responds. Muscles relax, breathing deepens, posture opens, tension dissolves. When the mind is no longer engaged in constant correction, the body naturally finds its own rhythm. Energy that was once consumed by self-criticism is now available for play, for movement, for simple enjoyment. Your body becomes a companion rather than a project, a manifestation of your being rather than a tool to achieve a future ideal. In this way, acceptance permeates every layer of your experience, from thought to emotion to flesh. Perhaps most liberating is the shift in your relationship to time. The future no longer holds the promise of worthiness. ND. The past no longer carries the burden of failure. You inhabit the present with a completeness that does not depend on what has happened or what will happen. Every moment, fully embraced, is enough. You find yourself savoring ordinary experiences, the warmth of sunlight, the taste of food, the sensation of wind on your skin, not as escapes or rewards, but as expressions of life itself. Presence becomes a practice, effortless yet profound, revealing that the moment you have always been seeking is here now, in the simple act of being. And yet, the mind may still whisper, still insist on correction, still cling to old narratives of insufficiency. This is not a failure, it is simply the mind doing what minds do. Awareness is not about silencing these voices, but noticing them, allowing them, and returning gently to the recognition of sufficiency. Each observation, each pause, each moment of rest in being becomes a practice of liberation. The effort to be enough dissipates not through force, but through understanding, through a seeing that is deeper than judgment, through a recognition that you have always been complete, no matter the fluctuations of thought or circumstance. In the spaces where the striving once existed, there is a new kind of energy, lightness, openness, curiosity, playfulness. Life becomes a series of explorations rather than a series of evaluations. You can take risks, make mistakes, laugh at yourself, experiment, and explore without fear of proving anything. Presence itself becomes a source of creativity, of insight, of connection. The river does not ask permission to flow, and neither must you. The music of your life plays naturally when you stop trying to conduct it forcibly, when you stop attempting to fix every note, every phrase, every pause. And so you begin to notice the exquisite paradox. The very act of ceasing to fix yourself allows life to move more freely through you. The boundaries of judgment soften, the tension in the body releases, the mind relaxes. You are not stagnant, you are alive in a more profound, effortless way. Your presence radiates, your perception sharpens, your engagement deepens. In letting go of the belief that you are inadequate, you uncover the extraordinary richness of simply being, the subtle harmony that has always been beneath the noise, the light that has always shone through the cracks, the truth that you were never separate from life's completeness. And so, if there is one truth to carry from all of this, it is this: you are already enough. The quest to fix, to improve, to correct, to earn your own acceptance has been a misunderstanding of your true nature. Life is not a problem to solve, and you are not a flaw to be repaired. You are a living, breathing, unfolding expression of existence itself, complete in every moment, even in confusion, even in imperfection, even in what you once considered failure. The awareness that observes your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations. This awareness is whole, timeless, and sufficient. When you finally release the compulsion to fix yourself, you do not stop growing, you begin to live. You act not from fear or lack, but from curiosity, creativity, and presence. Your relationships deepen, your joys expand, and your connection to the world becomes authentic and vibrant. The river flows naturally. The wind moves effortlessly. The tree grows without striving. And in the same way, your life unfolds when you stop resisting what already is. This is the paradox and the liberation. By ceasing to chase a future self, by ceasing to measure and correct, you discover the completeness that has always been yours. You are enough not because of what you do, but because of what you are, here, alive, present, and participating in the vast, intricate dance of existence. Let this recognition settle into your bones, your mind, your heart. You need not fix, you need not prove, you need not earn. You are already enough. And in this knowing, life, in all its mystery and beauty, becomes not a task to accomplish, but a gift to be experienced.